And now we're recording. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Technology is nice when it works.
When it works, if you understand how to work it. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and do the podcast and hope for the best. And if somebody shows up, that is great. We are live. I've been promoting it like crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Good. Been promoting it on Twitter.
I mean, granted, we've only had 20 hours.
That's true. Twitter and Facebook. I did Facebook as well.
Oh, okay. I haven't been on Facebook this morning.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, I've been too busy.
Excuses. Let's get that logo in there somehow. Too much gear, too much equipment. Never too much. My wife would think otherwise. Ready?
You need a shirt with the logo. That way it'll show. The other side. Well, see.
Yeah, but they're always on the left, right? They're always on the left one.
Yeah, right's name tag.
So the key is not to be looking at each other. Sometimes what we do, if you look to your right and I look to my right at the same time, let's go ahead and do it. Ready? Okay. If you look over your right shoulder, and now it looks like we're talking to each other. So
we're facing the opposite direction.
Wait, is that your doorbell or mine?
Actually, it was a phone call from San Diego.
Hello, San Diego. No, so if you look over your
left shoulder,
right shoulder.
At least for me. Well, I did that, and then you looked over your right, and we looked opposite of each other.
Oh no! Oh, you're on the left side, and I'm on the right side. I'm on the left side of my. I'm on the left side of my screen. So if I look over this shoulder and you look over your right shoulder at the same time, 1, 2, 3, looking at each other.
Away from away from each other.
Right. The way it's recording, we're looking at each other right now.
Okay. The way I'm looking at it, the way I see it, we're in opposites. Okay.
So let's just wave at each other here. Here we go. Okay. I love this stuff.
I'll try to remember that.
All right. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Richard.
Oh, thanks so much for having me back, Fred.
I enjoy having you on because you're a fan. And I am. You're a fan of the podcast. Maybe too much of a fan of the podcast. You know things about me that I didn't know I've even said. Is it because you've heard it on the podcast, or is it because we've had this conversation?
Both of those. But yeah, listening to the podcast for, 5 years, more than that, right?
Yeah, well, it's been almost 10. Yeah, 10 years on the podcast.
Then probably 7, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I've had the books out for 3 years, so
okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. Yeah, wait a minute. It's been 3 years since you were last on the podcast?
No, last year. I think it was last year.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was too. Anyway, well, congratulations. You've got a new book out. 2 new books out, right?
Yes.
You've got short stories. You want to hold them up? Yeah, why don't you hold them up?
Absolutely.
Short stories from the Long Links, Volume 1, just released. And that's available on Amazon?
It does, yes. Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, pretty much everywhere on the internet. And
it says Volume 1. What do you got in mind?
Well, actually, I've already started on Volume 2.
Really?
There's so many stories. A lot of these, the tales on here come from daily experiences, and a couple from jokes or comments that I've made on your previous podcasts or heard for some of the other ones you've done.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I think, you're welcome. And just everyday life and some of the book signings I've done, everybody has a golf story, whether they're golfers or not.
It's true.
It's a little unnerving at times, but some are really funny and some need a little help. But you can take what they've said and twist it around and make it really funny. For example, just kind of jump ahead real quick.
Sure.
The last story in here, which was it's going to be the first chapter in the Volume 2. So this is the bonus chapter. I was driving down the road and I glanced off to the road. I always do this. And I saw this area and I wasn't sure if it was a golf course or a cemetery. And so then my mind is like,
it's funny already.
Well, yeah. So my mind's like, well, what if it was both? Or what if they were neighbors, a cemetery, and that's where the grave hole came into being.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious, the people that tell you their stories, are they mostly embarrassing, or are they bragging about something that, they accomplished on the golf course?
Both. One person, I was doing this book signing, and this 90-year-old gentleman shuffles up to me, and I'm like, "So, you a golfer?" He's like, "Oh no, I can't play anymore." He goes, "But I used to caddy." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, tell me a story." And he's telling me, he goes, "The year is 1957, and I'm carrying the bag for William Hopkins." And I'm like,
wow.
Well,
who's William Hopkins?
Well, that's what I said. He goes, "Well, Cleveland Airport's named after him." So I did some research, and he was very instrumental in the rebirth of Cleveland, so to say. So anyhow,
that's a joke in itself. I'm not even going to go near the rebirth of Cleveland.
And so then he tells me, he finishes his round. He's real excited, and he gets a 50-cent tip. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about the tipping finances of 1950. So was that good? He's like, "Oh, hell no. I was used to getting $2.
Bada boom.
So, yeah.
It's very sweet.
Add a little bit more. Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah, well, my favorite story from a 90-year-old guy I was playing with, or probably in his late 80s, he said, "Son, when you get to my age," can I tell that on the podcast? Yeah, well, I'll bleep it out, or I'll cut it out. Never mind, I'll tell you off. No, he says, "When you get to my age, you pee as often as you have to, and you never trust a fart." Okay, fine. So that's
all right.
That was just part of the joke. There was more to it, and I'm not going to go there. So anyway, short stories from the long links.
Yes,
and it's a great book. It's a great gift book for your golf friends. It's also a great book to have in the bathroom because the stories are so short.
Yes,
just a little bit at a time. So
absolutely,
highly recommend that you look into that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, whatever. And then the other book that came out just at the same time, I guess, is a coloring book.
Adult coloring books are really big right now.
An adult coloring book. It's not necessarily for kids. Why is that, and what's the difference?
Well, that's a new fad right now, or a big thing. The pictures are drawn with more precision, and it almost looks like a picture. It's not that really thick, fat drawings that a lot of kids have in the little kids books. Actually, it's funny. I was at Barnes and Nobles this week, and they have an entire section dedicated to adult coloring books. Usually they're a little more geometric, but yeah, it's interesting. So actually the story behind the golf coloring book was my family likes to give gifts right before we go on vacation. So I decided to make a beach coloring book from photos that I took on our vacations. So I did that just for the idea of giving it to my family before we left. Well, in the process of creating
you can do a coloring book one up at a time?
Yes.
So and now you've just given me this amazing idea. So how do you just?
Well, we can talk about that later. I don't want to give away all my secrets.
Your trade secrets. Okay.
But so in doing so, I had to list it out on Amazon. So I'm like, well, we'll leave it out, see what happens. By the end of the week, it had reached #1 in Amazon new releases for travel and #2 for destination Myrtle Beach books.
So wait, this is your family coloring book?
Yeah. It's called Myrtle Beach Coloring Book.
Oh my God.
And it just was selling great. And so I'm on vacation and I'm watching the numbers and the sales ring up, and I'm like, I've got to do this for a golf course because all my books are in the golf. So the first thing I did when I got back is I ran to the local muni and spent some time going around and looking at different angles in that. And that's what this is. And this has been my #1 seller. I sell these daily, which is interesting. I mean, there's some nice pictures. And the other day I was coloring it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is relaxing.
So
you're
maybe
astonished.
I'm astonished because I'm thinking maybe you're focusing on the wrong content on your books. I mean, if that's your #1 seller, wait, do we really need to be doing all of this right now? where stuff where people are like, yeah, I've read those.
Well, yeah, and that first one took me 3 years, and the coloring book took me like a weekend. So
now what does that tell you? Okay, now we're in business mode here.
Exactly.
Minutes, and it's your bestseller. You're onto something, buddy.
Right.
Love the idea. Okay, we're going to definitely have to talk about this afterwards about making a coloring book. I have all these family photos. No. I want to do like holiday gifts for all the adults, but it's like all these family photos that I can do. It's like such a great idea. My gosh, I love that idea. Wow. All right. All right. So then the first book, Golf Rules, which I've yelled at you before because you gave a dedication to me on there, and I was like, that was totally unnecessary. And to the people who are watching us right now on Blab, thank you very much. And to let all Golf Smarter listeners know that if you want to participate in our conversations, upcoming interviews that I'm doing, you're more than welcome to do it. We do it live on Blab. It's on video. We have people there right now that can submit questions to Richard if they have, or they can even, when we're done with the interview, we'll open it up and let people come on video and ask you questions as well. So I want to thank the people that are here, names that I recognize from the Golf Smarter podcast. Thank you for joining us.
I recognized a couple names too that were signed up beforehand from the author circles.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm like, oh, hey, I know her.
I love that. All right, Golf Rules. Let's go over a couple rules. No, let's go back to the rules because there's new rules coming to golf in 2016. I think it's really important that that golfers should hear about. But let's go to the other book, which is Golf Etiquette.
Right. Of course, the perfect follow-up to the rules.
Absolutely.
How to behave on the course.
Right. If you're going to break the rules anyway, you might as well be polite about it.
Exactly. Don't want to be a schmuck.
Hey, watch that. So, but the way you tell this is not just a rule book. It's not a list of rules. Explain how you've incorporated your stories into the Golf Rules book.
Oh, absolutely. As you know, very few golfers own the little white book from the USGA. And a small percentage of those that own it have read it, and even fewer understand it. And I can say that from having gone to USGA Rules School, which, for those that don't know, it's a 4-day intense education. Really? We're starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll go 9 to 10 hours. And you come out of there, you eat dinner, you run back to your hotel room and start studying for the next day. It's worse than college. Very interesting.
Sounds like hell to me.
And then the last day is a 4-hour exam, 100 questions. A lot of people do not finish it. That's how tough it is. Now, granted, the score on this exam dictates if you can officiate at any local, state, or national event.
Okay.
I think you have to get a 99 or 100 to do a tour event.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting. And I remember, at this point, I had spent about a year or two reading the rules. And I go to this rule school, and then all of a sudden it was like the ball and a ball. I just thought it was legalese the way it was written, but they're two separate entities. The ball is the ball I'm playing.
Right.
A ball is every other ball. It could be a ball in my pocket, a ball you left from the last hole that you hit in the woods.
And there's specific rules about the ball and a ball.
Oh, absolutely. Because when you're playing, it's the ball.
Okay.
And everything else is a ball, kind of like an equipment. So it was amazing. It was eye-opening when you break it down that way.
No, I've never read a rule book, the golf rule book. I probably should have. But and one of the friends that I play with regularly, he's our golf rules person. Yeah, I didn't want to slander him right now, but he's the rules guy. And so we always refer to him. It's like, so what's the ruling on this? What, how do you want to do it? But if you're playing with me and he's not there and someone says, is this legal? And he says, I always say, yeah, it is now. I mean, if you want to do it, go for it. I don't really care. We're not playing for money and we're not playing in a tournament. So just have fun. That's my primary goal every time out.
It's that first part. It's not, you don't have to be playing for money, but if it's bragging rights or even a drink at the end of the term, if you if it comes down to that one event at the end of the game and you'd be like, maybe I should have won. You might harbor a little resentment. So it's nice to know the rules. And the USGA is really doing a lot over the past year and a half to make the rules easier to understand and more user friendly.
Really,
as you were saying, well, you started to talk about the 2016 rule changes. Just like the Olympics, this happens every 4 years, where the USGA for America and the RNA for England and the other governing bodies, China, what would that be? Middle East and Canada. They get together, not just once a year, but throughout these 4 years.
Do you realize, you know how long it took me to figure out that RNA was not RNA? It's the word R and A.
Yes, royal and ancient.
Royal and ancient. That's their governing body.
Yes.
Everywhere other than the United States, right? Pretty much.
And the interesting thing about that is no matter where you go, the rules are exactly the same. Whether the rule book says RNA on the front or USGA, the rules are exactly the same. They make sure that, whether you're playing in Mexico or China, England, or San Francisco, that rule, you drop the ball exactly the same way.
Okay.
And so one of the new items is ball moved at address. A couple years ago, there was a lot of stink in the news about, I think it was Rory, but I can't remember. The ball's at address and not in the tee box, and the wind kind of moves it, or gravity moves it. Well, and before there was a lot of discussion on if that was a penalty or not. Mm-hmm. The USGA has made it clear to say, did the golfer make it move? That's now how you define it. You don't have to worry about, is it clear that the wind or an outside agency moved it? Gravity doesn't partake. Did the golfer make the ball move? Yes or no? If yes, penalty. If no, no penalty. So there was a whole lot in the little rule book that just got slid away, and they make this little change. So it's huge.
Yeah. And so now, but the change again is that it counts as a stroke? I'm sorry, I got lost on it.
It's all right. If the golfer didn't make the ball move, so if it was moved because of wind or tremors or gravity, it's not a penalty.
Okay, but say no, he's not addressed the ball. He's teed it up, and the ball and it goes
outside the tee box.
Oh, this is all outside the tee box.
Right.
In the tee box, what's the rule?
You just re-tee it.
You can re-tee it, but no penalty.
Right.
Okay. But and now if you swing, now I've had this happen. Like the ball.
Absolutely, we all have.
Right. So the ball would be either on a tee, you'll swing and miss, or even worse, like say the ball is embedded on the edge of a bunker, right? You're now on the face of a bunker here, and the ball kind of, what do we call that? Fried egg. It's embedded in the sand, and you take a big swing and the ball doesn't move and you don't even come near it. Does that count as a stroke?
It does. And even like you were mentioning in the tee box, we've seen where you may swing and whiff.
Sure.
That's a stroke. That counts. The air quotes are intent. If you intended on hitting the ball, it's a stroke. It's not, you don't get special preferential treatment because you're so bad you totally missed the ball. It's a stroke. It counts. It's not a penalty. It's just a stroke.
And again, I'm going to remind the people who are watching here live on Blab, if you have a question, type in /Q, and then type your question, and a little thing will pop up on the side of the screen that says question, and it will alert me to ask the question for you of Richard. If you have any ruling questions, rules, etiquette questions, please submit them. Let us know.
Let's see if we can answer them all.
We'll try. Last time I put you on the spot a couple times.
We were on the air for 3 hours, so at least before and after. So yeah, I was dead dog tired.
Yeah,
you're like the guy. What when I'm
I was
doing a book
asking you
signing.
questions, right? I was asking you questions, and people were, and I got emails going, he was wrong about that. He's wrong about that rule. So I'm trying not to corner you again. I don't want to do that to you. But let's talk about those new rules for 2016 that are coming.
Sure.
Let's make a long list of those.
Well, it's actually a short list. There's really only 4 big ones that everyone's talking about.
Okay.
So that's one, the ball moved at address. Scorecard. And again, this is something that you and I will never have to deal with. But remember, imagine hoisting the claret jug. You just finished a beautiful round at St. Andrews. And some guy in Phoenix.
You want me to imagine that? You want me to fantasize about?
That's nice.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some guy in Phoenix calls the USGA or the RNA maybe and says, "Hey, back on 8, his ball moved a fraction of an inch." And so
happened.
It's happened a lot. So in the middle of your due, they come up and tap you gently on the shoulder and say, "I'm sorry, we need to disqualify you." So the rule's been changed because in that situation, you turned in a card that was incorrect. Okay. And the infraction for that is disqualification. So now they've again, the USGA's looked at what's happened and try to make it equitable, which is all they do for every rule. They just try to make the game equitable regardless of who's playing, your level, or where you're playing. So now you can't be disqualified for a penalty you didn't know you had. There is a penalty of 2 strokes for that, and you must correct your card, but at least you're not totally thrown out.
Okay, so it's a 2-stroke penalty.
Yes.
But this is tournament play only, right?
There are very few times
or is this TV tournament play only?
Well, I was just
it's like somebody calls tattletales on you. It's like,
yeah,
hey.
I'm sure at any tournament it could happen. The guy that's following you and following your group, and at the end he goes over and whispers to the referee because he wants to seem intelligent. But
I think we need to have penalty strokes for those people so that the next time, right, the next time that they play golf, they've already got like 5. Before they tee off the first time, they're already at a 5, right? It's like add a hole to them, just give them 1 par, right?
Those are the people that probably don't care.
Yeah,
1 mulligan per hole.
Ooh,
did you hear that one? It's 1 per. Yeah,
1 mulligan per hole.
Not the way I play.
Yeah, right. No, that's not a penalty. That's a gift. Isn't it? If you get 1 mulligan a hole, that's a gift.
That's a practice round is what it is. So,
okay.
That one and the other 2 artificial devices.
That's got to be huge because there's an app for that, right?
Well, there's lots of apps and there's lots of toys, and that's the problem.
And I'm a sucker for these toys too.
Right. And the local rule generally says you can use a distance measuring device, but you can't measure slope, wind velocity, temperature, I suppose, can make a difference, which if you've played in the South versus the North, that you need an extra club or
sure
subtract a club. But anyhow, so one of the caveats of the rule was if your device measured more than just the distance, you could be in trouble. So now it's if you use it and you're told there's a penalty, believe that's 2 strokes also. Yes, 2 strokes. If you use it a second time after you've been warned, then you're disqualified. So we've got a warning now, which is kind of nice.
That's the new rule. Is they've included a warning on devices. Yeah. But tournament play, watching television tournament play, they've got caddies. And the caddies have notes for everything.
Well, artificial devices can also include.
What falls into the category of artificial devices?
Those, what do they call them? The orange whips. The practice training clubs.
Yeah.
Or I saw one time, I can't remember the golfer, but he had the little rubber ball taped to his chest, to making sure he kept his arms tight at swinging. Well, he kind of forgot that, or maybe you've got some kind of arm pad as a training aid. And if you forget to take that off from the practice range to the first tee, there you go. You could have been disqualified. Yeah, it's an artificial device, right?
So wait, no training aids allowed in your bag or allowed exposed in your bag? Are training clubs? There's so many different types of clubs out there.
Right. I can't remember I think it has to be used, but there you go.
Okay.
Little questions are coming in saying he's wrong. I don't have them, so I try not to.
What, you don't have artificial devices?
Training aids, yeah.
Yeah, no, but is there a list of what qualifies as artificial?
Oh, I'm sure. I would imagine it's anything other than the clubs. I vaguely remember somebody on maybe it was the LPGA. They had a swing weight, like the old baseball donuts on their club.
Sure,
and they got in trouble for that. So yeah, matter of fact, that was in between holes or while they were waiting. They were just practicing. They threw it on there, and that was an infringement. So when you're playing, play.
Wow.
If you're concerned about the score and you
can't even walk off the tee and while someone else did and just take a practice swing with your weight or anything, that's all illegal.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, are there rules about how many balls you can have? Not in play, obviously, but if you start playing, yeah, can you play with two balls simultaneously?
Absolutely.
What?
Okay. You want me to answer that one? You want to come back to no?
Yeah, no. Answer me. What are you talking about? Absolutely.
Okay. There's several situations, but the first one that comes to my mind is you are playing with somebody else. And let's say you're in a sand trap and your ball is really scuffed up. Maybe it's not cut in half, or maybe it's got a little smiley face.
Okay.
And you say to your playing partner, this ball can't be played. It needs to be replaced. Your playing partner says
the ball is unplayable, right?
Not the lie. Yeah, not the lie. The physical ball itself. It has been damaged beyond. Ball. Yes, the ball. The ball. You're catching on. Look at that. Okay, so your ball. The ball, you claim it's not fit for play.
Okay.
And your playing partner says, no, it is fit for play. Well, so now you've got a stalemate. You've got, what are your choices? You can go with his ruling and possibly be wrong. You can go with yours and possibly be wrong. But the USGA says you can play the ball as it lies, the broken ball, and then replace it with another ball and play that one. You actually hole out both balls and you write down both scores until you are able to verify the correct ruling, which generally 19th hole inside the pro shop. And then you go back to whichever score correlated with the correct ruling.
Okay, this makes no sense to me at all. I hate to make you start.
Okay.
This makes no sense. So now you are allowed to drop a second ball and play that ball. If your partner, your playing partner, you say, all right, my ball, the ball's all scuffed up and it's not rolling properly. It's not flying properly because there's this big gash in it. It's got tree marks all over it. So I don't want to play with this ball anymore.
Right.
And this is where you're losing me. So now he's saying,
well, you want to change the ball.
Right.
And your playing partner says that's illegal.
Okay.
So you disagree on the rule, whether you can replace it or not.
Okay.
So what you do is you play your broken ball, and then you play another ball.
Simultaneously. I mean, you hit a ball and then you hit another ball.
Exactly. And then you get them on the green. You might that might even be your second stroke on a par 5. Play them both, hole both of them out. And then at the end of the round, you find out what was the correct ruling and play the ball that matches.
What do you mean, what was the correct ruling? I don't understand.
On whether you could change a ball in your situation. So
it goes from course to course on whether they allow it or not? Or isn't this,
no.
Are we talking about the rule book?
We are talking about the rule book. Okay. We're going to have to. I don't know. We're going to have to edit this way back.
No.
Okay.
People are going, keep going, Fred. I don't get it either.
I think where we're losing each other is replacing the ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we're on the 15th hole. Okay.
Okay.
I've been playing with the same ball. I haven't lost it yet. Playing with the same ball.
You.
I know exactly. And now we're saying that the ball. I don't want to play with this ball anymore because it's damaged. And I tell my playing partner, look, this ball is all messed up. I'm going to use a different ball. And
he says it's not messed up, though.
It's not messed up. Okay. So I'm saying, well, then, but I don't want to play with this ball. But he says, no, you have to. That's the ball you're playing with. Right.
But you're saying the rules say I can switch this ball because the ball is unfit for play.
Okay.
Now, there's definitions on what dictates unfit for play. Scratches, grass, dirt, as you were just mentioning. That does not make a ball unfit. Now, if you cut the top off, you got a big old smiley face. It's unfit for play and can be changed in the middle of a hole. So there's where the fork in the road is at.
Mm-hmm.
You want to switch it. He says no. Let's say it's just scuffed and it's not, because you guys are.
So now when we've played these last 3 holes and I'm playing with 2 balls the entire time.
No. Just that hole.
Oh, just that hole. Okay. All right. But say the scuffed up ball that I want to get rid of, I double bogeyed because it wasn't rolling straight because it was all messed up. But the clean ball that I pulled out of my pocket, I got a par on that. I want to keep the par. And the playing
it doesn't matter what you want.
Right. Of course.
It goes back to the rules. And the rule says you did not have the right to change out your ball in the middle of a hole.
Is that a new rule?
No,
it's an old
something
rule.
That you. Yeah, it's an old rule, but you mentioned it, so that's you brought this up, not me.
No. So I was saying, so I'm playing with. I have a ball. I'm playing with one ball, and I have another one in my pocket because I'm expecting to lose it at any moment. So I always play with the second ball in my pocket. And you've probably heard many golf instructors on Golf Smarter podcast saying, "No, never put a second ball in your pocket." Then you're just
mentally, right?
You're setting yourself up for failure. So just use one ball all the time. Yeah, I do too. I don't know why. It just makes me feel comfortable that I got a second ball in my pocket.
Yeah, it saves you a trip back to the cart.
Right. Okay. So now, but can I? Not in tournament play. I guess this is all about tournament play. I can use either ball that I want that I carry in my pocket on any hole, or do I have to play the same ball with every single shot?
You can. Well, whatever ball you start the hole with is the one you need to finish, unless the rules allow you to switch it because of it being unfit for play.
Okay, when you say unless the rules, aren't we? What I mean,
unfit for play. That's all we're saying. The only reason you can switch out that ball is if it's. Well, if you lose it and you got to replace it, or if it's unfit for play, which is it's cracked or damaged so that it can't be hit. That's the only 2 that I can think of.
Okay. All right.
That so sorry, long.
We different direction. All right. So now let's see. There are 4 new rules. So we talked about ball moving at address, the scorecard.
Yep.
You're not disqualified now. Now it's just 2 strokes. And then artificial devices.
Right. And then, of course, the one that you've been talking about for years, anchor putting.
Oh, an anchor putting. Yeah. Well, this is the year it changes?
Yes.
The anchor putters. So now the rule is you can use a tall putter like that. It just cannot touch your body. What's the rule? What is it?
It cannot be directly or indirectly anchored, I think is the exact wording. And of course, what that means is, think about a normal putt. Your arms can kind of wibble wobble any which way they can, if you're not holding things steady.
Hold that thought. Let me get a putter. Okay. I'll be back.
Here's the question. How long does it take him to find a putter? I can see one right now in my office.
I am.
Oh, hey, that was pretty good.
It's a small office. All right. So now, all right. Okay.
So if you're holding it normally,
yeah,
your arms do have some sway to them.
Right.
Okay. Let's pretend. Okay. Actually, you can even take that one because it's not necessarily about a long putter. Now take the butt end of your club and push it into your belt buckle.
Right.
Well, you got a short putter, so you're going to need to put it much lower.
We'll pretend you can't tell how. Yeah, you can't tell how long. Okay. I beg your pardon? Bend over like what? Okay.
Michelle,
so now, okay.
She's got that 90-degree angle when she putts.
Yeah. I tried to do that for a few weeks and everyone's making fun of me, so I stopped doing that. So it's like,
absolutely,
I'm getting closer to the ball. All right. So now I have this extended putter and people have been anchoring it here to their chest.
Right. So basically what you're doing by holding that to your chest is, you've forced the swing so that you don't have as much chance for error, shall we say? Okay. That's all they're saying. The old rule that we've always had is, swing normally, swing without obstruction, and that's all you're doing with the long putters. You could, and it's not an equipment issue, so you could probably, if let's say you had a long wedge, you could claim the same thing.
That's contradiction in terms, isn't it? Long wedge, they're short.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe you're a short person. But basically, that's all they're saying is your club must swing freely. That's the layman way of putting it.
Okay, so now that's why with your hands, whether you're left hand low or your right hand low, or
claw,
side by side,
pencil, whatever, doesn't matter.
Pencil, this. Yeah. But I've seen now with a long putter, is this, if you put the putter and you're gripping it, I'm going to try to get this on video here. That's why I'm off microphone. And I apologize to the podcast listener. But so now I've got the grip up against my arm, and I'm holding on
forearm.
My forearm. Is that legal?
It is, and
the forearm. So anchoring it against your forearm and gripping like that's legal.
Well, and yes, as long as it's below the elbow, because you still have that issue. I think with your swing with the elbow, possibly.
Wow, I can do that. I can grip the club in my hand and then wrap my hand around my forearm with the club.
You can take your non-dominant hand and push the club against your forearm, as long as it doesn't go above the elbow.
As long as the grip doesn't go above the elbow.
Right. The butt end. There's some great pictures and videos on the USGA website on this ruling.
Really?
So, it's not an equipment issue. As we just showed, even with the short putter, you can anchor it or grip it illegally. It's just trying to make everything equitable. Hate to come back to that, but
but you did.
I did, and that's
well. That's very interesting. I had no idea. So this is the year. So
January 1st.
January 1st, 2016 is when that rule goes into effect. I wonder what that's going to do. We'll probably see next spring. We'll see a lot of new putters, and we'll see a lot less long putters. I think
I don't know.
I think that people are still going to play with them because they're so comfortable. It's just going to be interesting to see what guys. Isn't it Adam Rose on the tour that?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. Yeah, right. Justin Rose, Adam Scott. So Adam Scott has been using the long anchored putter forever, right? And so they had to change a couple of years ago on the tour, didn't they?
No, I don't.
That was the wedge thing.
That
was the grooves on the wedge. Totally different conversation. Sorry about that.
The old eye, the ping eye.
Yeah, I don't.
Anyhow,
okay.
Yes,
excellent. All right. So again, let everyone know here, Richard E. Todd, Todd. You can find his books on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. You've got the Golf Rules, Etiquette, and showing them off to the folks who are watching on video.
Great.
There you go. And then we also have the Golf Rules, Stroke Play. Now, is there a book coming out about match play?
Absolutely.
When is that happening?
I don't know.
Okay. What is it? You have a job? What's the matter with you? You work?
That, and I've had it outlined for a while. But these other projects keep jumping up in the way.
Forget them all. Just do coloring books. The coloring book is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right. And then short stories, the brand new one, short stories from the Long Links Volume 1 collection of golf related tales. And please, great gifts this holiday. You can have them delivered to your house. Easy squeezy. Awesome.
And if you're interested in the golf and the short stories, but you're just not ready to pull the trigger, if you go to thegolfrules.com, you can sign up to have the first 5 chapters emailed to you.
Oh,
so that's
sample.
a little teaser. It's fun.
Okay. So it's thegolfrules.com.
It is.
THEGOLF rules.com.
Yes. Yep.
And your Twitter handle and your blab handle here is TGR Golf Rules.
Right. TGR, the Golf Rules. Golf Rules.
The Golf
Rules was already taken. Yeah, that was already taken.
So you're at TGR Golf Rules. Redundant.
Exactly. And as you were saying, if as far as Christmas gifts, you also have the complete golf course journal. Which
talk about that
perfect.
For a minute. Let's explain what the journal is, because it's really actually, if a golfer wants to analyze how they're doing, don't just look at your scorecard. It doesn't tell you enough unless you keep detailed notes on your scorecard.
And don't buy this one.
And don't buy which one? Don't buy this journal?
This journal is not that overly technical aspect, the one where that you mark down every single club you play and every stroke you play. This is the Golf Smarter type golf journal. You can, of course,
what is that supposed to mean? What is the Golf Smarter?
It's
for the half-ass golfers out there.
No, not at all.
What does that mean?
Rather than get buried in those stats that can really just get in your way of enjoying your round.
Yes.
Now, granted, there are opportunities, where you can learn to improve your game by stats, but this is more based on the enjoyment of the round. There is, of course, an area for your score. That's another way of putting it.
Yeah.
Rather than you'll log, where you played, the course conditions, who you played with. Especially if you're traveling, there's restaurants, hotels.
It's good calling that.
Rate the pro shop, rate the lodging, so that if you come back, special notes of interest, places to visit, first Eagle location, so you can keep track of your
That's
scores.
A good way to do it.
That's listed on there.
It's so funny because every year I take a golf trip in the spring with 3 buddies.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that. And I could not tell you what golf courses we played. And yet one of my playing partners 8 years down the road will go, oh, right, we played this, and this. I'm like, how would you? I don't even remember where we ate, what city we
were. And a lot of people, they like to say the scorecards. And they get kind of messy, all piled up. And so
now you have a spiral bound book, a journal.
Right. Because the scorecard has, your scores, who you played with, and rate and slope. And that's it. So throw that in here. Now you've got a little extra information. So you've got your scores as well as all that personal information to keep your memories alive.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Good. So to wrap this up, and thank you so much for your time today. To wrap this up, how about a something that people need to know about either a rule or etiquette that they keep screwing up?
My favorite one is, mulligan. There is no such thing as a mulligan. Just play every stroke. And don't use a foot wedge. Going with all that stuff. When you kick your ball out of high brush, all you're doing is taking away the opportunity to hit a great shot from a bad lie and really feel good about yourself. Anybody can hit from the fairway. It's that extra up and down from the woods that really make you feel good. You're shaking your head. Come on.
The opportunity to feel good as opposed to feeling good.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll give you that. It's kind of like, I think you mentioned it before. I don't care if I've got a 1-inch putt or a 5-foot putt. I want to hear that ball rattle around in the cup. Don't take that away from me. Yeah. Don't take that away from me.
Sound. Yeah. Great. All right, Richard. Great talking to you again. I'm going to call you right back on your phone because I want to know more about the coloring book.
Okay. Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me back on.
It's great. And good luck this holiday season. Buy the books. Buy the books, everybody. All right. Good. Talk to you again.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Now what?
Nobody there? Is anybody on? Hello?
Hello. Just us. There was a total of 8 people who joined us.
Oh, well.
And we're not recording anymore. All right.
Okay.
Well, actually, nobody's watching. Do you want to tell me about the book now?
So, did you look at the pictures in the coloring book?
Yes.
Okay. So you notice they're definitely well-drawn pictures.
Are they drawn or they come out of a photograph?
It's a photograph.
Yeah.
I take the photograph, I run it through any one of many apps that turn it into a pencil drawing, mess around with the brightness and contrast, insert them all into Word, Microsoft Word or whatever, and then and that's pretty much it. You upload that to Amazon's book selling portal, CreateSpace. You got to come up with a cover. I spent more time doing the cover than the rest of the book, but
I love doing that stuff. I love it.
And that was it. Just so you know, the cost to produce this is $2.15. So if you want to do one for family, it's
per book.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Kind of nice, huh?
I'm going right to it right now.
And there's no cost to do that. I find shipping's roughly $1 a book, depending on, but still you're talking $3. So even these, I sell them for $7. So I make $2, which is the same, $2 per book, which is the same as I make on any of the other ones, having gone through large publishers, even though like the other one will sell the first one sells for $15.99. I still make $2 on it because that's how the publishers work.
We just came back from Washington D.C. over the weekend. Did the walk for Alzheimer's. But we were with family the whole time, and I took a ton of photos. They've got 3.
Nice. Oh,
and
yeah.
And we were going to make a photo book anyway for them, but I think I want to make one for the kids of just like a separate book.
Well, that's black and white.
Yeah.
If you want to do it in color, you're talking, I think it's $5.
Oh yeah, no, I've done those books. Oh, I've done a bunch of those books as gifts and things. Yeah, we do it through Apple.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Yeah. I'm out.
All right. Hey, thanks again. We'll talk to you later.
Very good. Good luck.
All right. Bye.
Bye.